It was such a lovely day, and the sun was shining bright. A gentle breeze was blowing my way, not a storm cloud in sight.
Then suddenly, without a warning, a storm surrounded my life.
But even in the storm, I can feel the calm, and here's the reason why. I know the peace speaker. I know him by name. I know the peace speaker. He controls the winds and waves. When he says, "Peace be still," they have to obey. I'm glad I know the peace speaker. Yes, I know him by name. There's never been another man with the power of this friend. By simply saying, "Peace be still," he can calm the strongest wind.
So now I'll never worry when storm clouds come my way.
I know that he is near to drive away my fear, and I can smile and say, I know the peace speaker. I know him by name. I know the peace speaker. He controls the winds and waves. When he says, "Peace be still," they have to obey. I'm glad I know the peace speaker. Yes, I know him by name. Peace, peace, wonderful peace, coming down from the Father above. When
Hello, hello. We are more than happy to have you here again. As you already know, my name is Edwin Rivera. I am the English coordinator for the Mutual Aid for Burial Ministry. Today, I'm broadcasting from the office or the studio of Carreteros family. Today is the closing of the month, so that's why we are here. And I hope that you enjoy this program, this broadcasting, uh, knowing that there is many, many blessings that we are receiving by being in different places. I would like to also share with you the enrollment period, which started last month, the 15th of October, and will continue open during the month of November. So the open enrollment period will long last until November the 30th. So please share this information with your people at your church, also with your friends and family members. Besides that, I would like to let you know that the ministry keeps going, and that's exactly what we're trying to present this morning. Uh, Last week we had some problem with one of the presentations, and today I would like to have that presentation with no restriction with the audio and no problem whatsoever. So please try to be focused, try to be tuning in with us during the whole presentation, and after that we will continue our duties as a closing of the month. Thank you for being connected with us. I don't know if we have something in the chat to share. Luis Carretero is helping me with the controls. So, uh, Luis, if you are able to share the chat, I will be more than happy to have that. Luis is connected with us. Also, Neosotis is connected with us, saying hello. Um, Greetings for all of us. I don't know if you have somebody else. Yeah, from the happy Thursday for all of you from the Mutual Aid and Burial Ministry staff. Thank you, staff, for being connected with us. That will cover everybody that works in the office. Well, as I said before, we have a program that we're supposed to have it done last week, but today we have everything ready to share with you. So go ahead, Luis, with
After the school shooting of 2012, Sandy Hook, the world responded with 65,000 teddy bears, 500,000 pieces of mail, and thousands upon thousands of boxes of games, school supplies, and toys and clothing. That's an amazing outpouring of love and respect. But the logistical challenge that caused stretched town resources to the max. There was tremendous amount of concern about what to do with the resources and how to deal with them. They filled up a gym, they filled up City Hall, and they wound up filling up high school. All of this coming in to a town called Newtown, Connecticut, 27,000 population. What do you do in that situation? Unfortunately, well, some of the items were able to be distributed. Some of them were saved and memorialized, but most of them were incinerated. And I know that must have been a very hard situation. I work in humanitarian logistics, and I've been deployed several times. And I can give you story after story about all of the unsolicited and mostly unwanted donations that always seem to follow a disaster. And while it may seem logical that that could help, it doesn't. And that is the challenge that most people face when they're out in the field. Newtown, Connecticut had a problem with it, and it's our responsibility to make sure that we understand what donations belong and what donations don't belong. And that's what leads us into the disaster within the disaster. See, that second disaster is what causes most of the problem. It really prevents NGOs and organizations to be able to form a reasonable type of a response, certainly one that's effective. Now, before we get too far into this, it's behavior that drives this kind of stuff. It's behavior that drives donations to get completely out of whack. And one of those behaviors is empathy. Empathy and compassion. I mean, look, think about it. We watch these things unfold on television, and we hurt for the people who lose their town, or they lose their city, or their own property. And we want to do something about it. The problem is, what we want to do about it is that we typically go to the pantry, go to the cupboard, go to the garage, and we find stuff to send, thinking, I'm doing something. I'm doing a good job. The problem is, your stuff, while it doesn't look so bad in front of you, there's 25,000 other people trying to do the exact same thing that you're doing. And what does that cause? Well, that's when your items, your stuff, becomes complete chaos. Now, there's some other responsibility involved in this. Fear does play a factor in this. Fear from NGOs, because when those corporate donors come, they really don't want to say no, because if they say no now, they might not get a chance to say yes down the road. And they're definitely afraid of you. Because if you show up with your 3 bags of clothes and they turn you away, what's going to happen? Some of you will go to social media and they will wind up having a complete nightmare. So there's one other issue too, and that is the corporate side. This is the dark side of donations. You see, all donations, they don't come from the heart. Some are about opportunity. And there are companies out there that are more than willing to jump on the bandwagon and ride that hurricane or ride that disaster right into an empty warehouse. They've got overruns in warehouse and they jump on the bandwagon and grab a quick tax break while all the better looking like they're being responsible citizens. Now, not all companies do this, but I will give you some examples of 4 or 5 that have. What about the 10 containers of refrigerators that showed up in Haiti after the earthquake? Now think about this. They're on basic life support. They don't have shelter. They don't have electricity. But yet we've got 10 containers of refrigerators that we need to do something about. It sounds generous, but when you dig into the details, those refrigerators weren't even wired properly for Haiti to begin with. So it was a complete waste of time. What about the clothing, actually underwear, that was sent to Haiti after the earthquake? How many people in this room know that you really don't need size 1, 2, and 3X underwear in Haiti? Who knew? So half of it comes back. A complete waste of transportation. What about the 45,000 ladies' belts that were donated by a name brand retailer for Houston? Do we have 45,000 beltless people in Houston that needs belts? But then there's also some other types of donations. It's the kind of the sinister ones, the ones where you're sending winter clothes to a tropical climate, or you're sending tuxedos and wedding dresses to Haiti. I mean, that's corporate irresponsibility, and that is one of the major issues and challenges that the folks on the ground and volunteers face with every disaster. And unfortunately, it's disaster after disaster after disaster. It is very, very consistent. What about the environmental impact? That's the clothing that was sent to Indonesia. Hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of tons of clothing, and it's rotting. They're going to burn it, and they're going to put it out to sea. And there's certainly nothing green about that at all. Now, what about the economy? One of the first things you want to have happen when a whole area gets destroyed is people hiring people back. People want their jobs back. They can They can deal with water in their house, but they want a secure job. And that's one of the challenges. When you start flooding an area with free stuff and just start giving away at every street corner, that is where a problem comes in. Look, it's not that difficult. We can ask ourselves 3 questions. So before any of you ever get involved in another donations project with your church, your school, your Rotary Club, whatever it might be, ask yourself 3 questions. Number 1, is it needed? I didn't say wanted. I said needed. Is it needed? Because we owe the people a little bit of dignity. The ones, especially the ones that have lost everything, we should let them decide when they want to get the stuff back that they want. The second question is, and it does pertain to us a little bit, is transportation. How are you going to get it transported? And the third is, if you do have transportation lined up, if you're sending the right stuff, how are you going to get it distributed on the back end? And if you can't answer any one of those questions, you have absolutely no right to send anything. You would be better off doing nothing. Story about a California school teacher. She calls me up, and she is looking for transportation. She is going to send 7 pallets of stuff to Houston. 7 pallets kind of relates to maybe about 300 average moving size boxes. And she was determined. And when she told me what she had, I respectfully declined, and I told her, what you have is not relief items. You have stuff. Well, and she basically came back and said, look, I'm really upset about this. My children, they've done so much work. They've been out, they've been working, they've gone from friend to family to neighbors, and they've collected all this stuff. Why can't I get it delivered? Not going to happen. And she said, you know what, by God, if it takes me going to the parents to get the transportation money, I'm getting my stuff to Houston. That's what the problem is. Now, maybe if she would have approached it from a different perspective and maybe taken the stuff and sold it, she could have sent some money. Now, I know money is impersonal, and I know that there are questions about cash and folks using cash and how it's used. Find yourself a good, reputable NGO. Non-government organization is what an NGO is. Do the research. Send the money to them. This school teacher could have done that. We can use electronics too. We're in a new age. We can use the internet. We don't have to send a paper or a card. We can send it electronically. But the big what if right now is, what if we could put together a donations management system? It would be very similar to a wedding registry, but on steroids, where businesses can post and watch what is posted, and NGOs can post what they want and then take off what they need. Businesses don't do that right now because they don't have a means to handle it. We can do this. So now that you know the dark side of donations, you have a responsibility. From kindergartners to CEOs, we have to donate responsible, and we have to provide the things that are needed. Thank you.
Early will I rise and worship you, giving you thanks for all that you do. My sacrifice of praise I offer you, and you bring to me that sweet melody. You are my song, you are my song. You are the reason I sing this song to you. You are my song. You are my song. You are the reason I sing to you.
Early will I rise and worship you, giving you thanks for all that you do. My sacrifice of praise I offer you, and you bring to me that sweet melody. You are my song. You are my song. You are the reason I sing this song to you. You are my song.